All right, glad to have you back. It's time to take a look at what the papers are saying today on their front pages. And we have with the studio with us, Ayodele Adio, a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us this time.
Good morning.
Nice
Thank
to
you
see you
for having me.
All right. So we start off with the Punch newspaper. The major story, we informed FG, military of threats. Soldiers' misconduct, says Taraba. More may be killed unless military turns a new leaf. No letters from Taraba. FG, military insists. This back and forth continues.
Yeah, I mean, this all started, because of the very, very, hard statements or the hard stance that General Tiwa Danjuma took, while delivering what was supposed to be a university lecture. And everybody's just been dilly-dallying, after then. The truth is, after several attacks, if you remember the Miango case sometime last year in Plateau State, where the people or the survivors of the incident, alleged that people with uniform took them into a classroom and what have you. So we've been hearing reports, of lapses or gaps, with security forces in terms of these attacks consistently in the past. I think, and I'm glad that somebody with the stature of T.Y. Danjuma has made this allegation. Maybe that would allow the military look inwards and weed itself of this bad element.
Well, that is what Nigerians expect, but the military is coming out outrightly to say, no, nothing like that exists.
I mean, whether it's the amnesty report that has indicted them on several issues, they've always come out to be defensive. Maybe because their job is to defend the country, and they find it you have to defend everything. But because, and to be honest, I can understand sometimes some of these things are difficult to admit. It's easier to look out the window than look at the mirror and tell yourself the hard truth. But it's very important that they find the courage. The Chief of Army Staff really has to look inwards and weed the military of these saboteurs that keep on sabotaging the efforts of the military. Because let's be honest, if these things are not checkmated, you would have a situation where communities will begin to rise up against the people that are supposed to defend them. And that will just attend. And
from the statement of the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense saying that they've been getting reports of general misconduct on the part of the soldiers from different states, really, but they didn't get anyway from Taraba State, means that there is a serious problem on our hands, knowing that these soldiers are performing the job of police.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. I mean, I'm glad that he also admitted that there have been complaints, around the country, because you can't deny it. It happens consistently. In fact, interestingly, in Delta a couple of days ago, there was also complaints, about them going to report a particular incident, and they came and they were rounded up at night. So these things happen consistently. I just don't know if the military can find the moral compass to look inwards and do a thorough clean-up of the elements within its rank and file that continues to sabotage its efforts. They need to do that for us to move forward. Okay.
Otom backs Danjuma's self-defense call. Saraki Oke's motion on comment. Yes,
what is there to debate, actually? Sometimes what I find funny with this country is that when you and I talk about the issues that bother us, we are largely ignored. Maybe when a heavyweight talks about it, it now looks like it's something
it just happened, exactly.
And it just happened. What are you debating? People have been dying in this country for years. The people in Benue have been suffering massacre consistently. People in Taraba, people in Zamfara. So you just suddenly woke up one morning and you want to debate a case of self-defense. In any case, the issue of self-defense has been clearly interpreted by the Constitution. Absolutely. You have a right to defend yourself. It's simple law, elementary, basic law. Even it is Saga has come out to even, corroborate the statements of T.Y. Danjuma. There's nothing to debate. If you're going to debate anything, it has to be about reforming the internal security architecture.
All right, let's quickly run through the remaining stories. Easter, FG declares Friday, Monday holidays. Oyegun Tinubu Edo APC hail Buhari as president, rejects tenure elongation. Electoral Act amendment, reps to debate override Buhari after Easter. But nearly 7 million Nigerians registered in 11 months. That's according to INEC. Dapchi, act fast to free Leah. Afenifere PFN, tell Buhari.
I mean, too many stories they lumped up together.
Yeah, exactly.
One I find very interesting is the tenure elongation. I think finally, President Buhari is starting to act like a politician. He's looked it down the road, couple of months to the elections. The APC are in a shaky state. I need to win this election. I need Tinubu in my camp. What does Tinubu want? Clearly, you and I know what he wants. Tinubu can't sit on the same table with the gentleman who he has accused severally, you know, of being...
Well, is it about that really, abiding by the constitution, first of your party and then of
Nigeria?
Nigeria?
First of all,
really?
yes, constitutionally, he's not supposed to, you know, have an extra time, you know, at the seat. But truthfully, it's more of a political move, you know, by the president. He sees it clearly. I mean, even a blind man can tell you that Oyegun's tenure has just been riddled with crisis in the APC. It's such a stormy water across the country. The APC are just in complete shambles. So, I mean, he's very easy to expend. I must tell you.
A lot of people said the chairman, if he had been firm, all the different crises at the local level within the states would have been handled. You wouldn't even have required the president to mandate Tinubu to even go for,
yes, and if he had been seen not to favor some people, you know.
I don't think it's about being firm or seen not to favor. I just think he doesn't have it. Okay. He just doesn't have the leadership role.
We'll just take that as an opinion. All right. Now, the Nation newspaper says, how Buhari killed plot to extend Oyegun's tenure. Tinubu decision good for APC and democracy. The president has scored another goal, says Okorocha. Well, we've talked about that. Now, polls, Senate begins move to override Buhari's veto. This is another move now.
Oh, very interesting. I hope they find it. I mean, I don't know if they have the numbers. It does look like, you know, in the Senate, it's looking a bit, you know, like they could have a couple of the numbers, but I'm not sure on the, you know, the House representative, they're going to find those numbers. But let's see what happens after the Easter. I'm sure that the presidency would also get to work now. Hopefully, Senator Ita Yang would have sleepless nights to do the job of ensuring that the president finds the numbers, you know, in the House of Assembly to ensure that that is not vetoed.
Exactly, especially when there are allegations of $50,000 bribery for lawmakers. All right, INEC sacks 205 for 2015 election fraud, and Ikeme overwhelmed by Eagles support. That's the Super Eagles goalkeeper. And Jonathan's aide, unaware suitcases had cash. Okay. This is a twist. I've heard lots of comments and saying, if you see how the whole thing works, really, if you paint a picture, a mind picture of how this thing in the house of a rich man works.
Yes.
When you are being sent, just okay, deliver this to someone, and as the case may be, is there a possibility that you don't know what is in the content of what you're sent to deliver when you're not an errand boy or something?
Come on. Let's not pretend like, I mean, he's an insider in all of this.
Exactly, that's the word. He's an insider.
He definitely, you know, has, to a certain extent, an understanding of the modus operandi, you know, in and there. But, I mean, it's a good case to make in court. Yeah, there's possible deniability there that, I mean, I don't know. It was sealed. It was locked up. I mean, it is quite easy to deny in the court of law. But, you know, we're going to be talking, you know, behind the scenes. You definitely can't be telling me that you didn't know what was the content of that. But, of course, before the court of public opinion or before a court of competent jurisdiction, you can claim deniability that you don't know what was.
Well, in the eyes of the law, it is always different.
Exactly.
Yeah. Senate to debate Danjuma's claim or turn back self-defense call. Afenifere seeks probe. And then we have CBN lends banks 27.6 trillion naira in 6 months. Now, these are some of the headlines on the Nation newspaper.
All right, we go to the Daily Sun. The major story here, we already talked about it, so we'll just run through it. As APC NEC meets, no to Oyegun's tenure extension. That's Buhari party raises panel to decide way forward amid reactions. Beside the masthead, polls sequence, Senate probes bribery allegation, begins fresh Electoral Act amendment process. We'll come down here. FARC meeting deadlocked as states reject NNPC's 74 billion naira February revenue. And then traffic diversion as Buhari begins two-day visit to Lagos. NBA stakeholders walk out on Lagos speaker over land use charge. And of course, Thursday has been said
Can you
as
explain
a
to
public
me
holiday.
how one of the biggest cities, the biggest commercial nerve center in the whole of West Africa, arguably the second biggest commercial city in Africa, is going to be shut down because the president is going to visit? I just don't get it, really. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm shocked, I'm miffed, I'm exasperated that you shut down an economy because the president has to visit. It's just incomprehensible. And this is just coming days after, you know, we're whipped into line, you know, by Bill Gates, you know, for getting a lot of things wrong in our country. And these are one of the things that we do. It's the little things that gives you a pointer to how serious people who manage your country really are. If you shut down an economy because of a single visit, I mean, I just don't get it, really. I really just don't get it, you know. It's a working visit. You could have your protocol team arrange the traffic through where the president is going to be passing and what of that. And then all of us can continue our simple business. Not all of us are going to stand
Could
up.
it be because there are many construction going on across the state, so maybe to reduce the pressure on the roads?
I mean, how many constructions are going on that's going to stop us? I mean, it's not the triumph entry into Jerusalem that we're only going to stand with palm leaves on the road. The president is going to come and visit. Let him do that. If he's going to commission what he wants to commission, let him do that, you know. You and I have a job to do, and let's carry on with our jobs.
Exactly.
All right,
I think in the 21st century, locking down the city just because of the of a visit of the governor or the president or anybody, well, I think other countries have gone way beyond all of that. The president is coming, yes, it's wonderful, coming. It's fine. Security, do your job, do your job, work. Let him do his work and leave back to Abuja.
Simple as
all right.
Okay, the remaining stories. 2019, Atiku formally joins presidential race. SAC APC, Wike tells Nigerians. FG reintroduces history in school curriculum. Many have been saying that is the way to go, so that the young ones would know Nigerian history and know that I think it's best to stay away from violence.
It's a step in the right direction, so that the young people can have a sense of where they come from. Because if you don't know where you're coming from, you hardly can.
In fact, I've never forgotten what they taught me those years about Kanem Borno Empire, Sokoto Caliphate, Nok Terracotta, and so on. So
I know what they say, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So it's better to learn.
All right, the Vanguard newspaper, APC Exco tenure elongation, why Odigie Oyegun must go. Buhari is saying that, and President APC governors at odds on Oyegun at Stormy Neck meeting. Party constitutes committee on tenure Exco. The president, APC, have spoken. Tinubu is saying that. And we have other writers, other headlines here. Your apology not enough. Return looted funds. Federal government tells PDP. This is, you recall that PDP apologized to Nigerians. And you were elected with looted funds. PDP replies, APC and federal government.
It's getting interesting.
It's getting more
and
more
interesting.
interesting.
This is really interesting.
But, you know, I really wanted to ask, you know, a question with this, you know, the APC allegation thing, because I probably must have missed it all along. Why does Governor Yahya Bello always have to be the one to dish out information to the press? I'm not sure why. In what capacity does he do that?
Well, I guess it's a family affair, like they always say. So, at the 2019 election sequence, Senate probes $50,000 bribery allegation. And then on the fact, states abort meeting over 37.7 billion naira shortage in NNPC revenue. I
mean, we've said this countless times. That's something you need to take
again and again and again.
A fumigator. There has to be fumigation in the NNPC. Yes, it's the goose that lays the golden egg, but there's a whole lot of rot in that system. And it needs to be clearly or closely monitored. And if we don't do that, we'll continue to have all of these leakages here and there. I mean, you can imagine how embarrassing it was at that meeting to have that kind of amount not accounted for. You know, so it's sad. And the NNPC, I just don't know, has to be unbundled. It just has to.
When it comes to issues of accountability and transparency, it is one thing so many people have said, we don't have it, we don't have transparency, there's no accountability from NNPC when it comes to the clarity of what they do.
You just don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, you just want to cast your mind back, to when we were having the fuel subsidy probe. I think it was the 7th Assembly. And when the PPRA or the PPMC, the NNPC come to make presentations, each of them kept on giving different figures at different times. And you kept on
it's been established really that the NNPC doesn't really remit all its money into the TSA.
It's really sad. We need to do something, about the NNPC. We need to separate the NNPC from the government by some means. I don't know how we're going to achieve that.
There was a call for unbundling of the NNPC, but nothing has been done so far.
The fact that it's riddled in politics. The NNPC is too political. And you have all of these loose ends here and there. We just need to separate the NNPC from the
Well, I think it's just in the Nigerian case that NNPC is so different. Go to Russia, go to Saudi Arabia, go to these countries. They run their oil company, and from a single place, they know every single drop of their oil anywhere in the world. They know all these things.
In Nigeria, it's different.
In Nigeria, I wonder why.
They don't know how many
It's rocket science here.
Simple. What is the landing cost of petrol? A simple question. They'll be beating about the book. It is A, it is B, it is C. They can't even tell you the landing cost of petroleum product.
Okay, so we go to the last paper. Most of the stories we've talked about, so I will just run through almost all of them. Atiku meets Wike, declares presidential bid, promises to build a new Nigeria. Rivers governor urges collective efforts to oust APC. At least it's clear now where it's going. Citing constitutional breach, Buhari rejects tenure extension for Oyegun others. APC sets up committee to review position. Tinubu hails president, says party stands for internal democracy. PDP, ruling party, suffering from imposition impunity. FARC meeting ends in stalemate as committee rejects NNPC remittance. Senate initiates process to override veto on electoral amendment bill. And then the Skyline headline, whistleblower names Israeli firm that hacked Buhari's emails. That was during the 2015 election, the revelation we got just a few days ago.
I mean, just as an aside, I wonder why, whoever paid, the millions of dollars to hack President, Buhari's emails at the time. President Buhari was as open as a book. We knew everything about, the fine general at the time. So I'm it was just money down the drain for nothing. There was nothing to really. His life was quite transparent, it was quite public, everybody knew what they needed to know, and of course, that's why there was nothing to actually reveal, at the end of the day. So
and in fact, some would say that he may not be as digital as others would be, so there's nothing to really, no secret information, nothing really happened in the digital world when it comes to that campaign as much as other.